Brands are more scared than ever. I've never had to deal with more questions about brand risk and more questions about like these problems because they are so polarized by like Budweiser that like when like they are so afraid of like half of their market share dropping off overnight because of one wrong tweet or something like that. We stopped spending on Twitter and we did it along with every other brand because of uncertainty. So it wasn't because of brand risk, and we did it because like we weren't really sure what was going to happen next.
Sure.
OnlyFans even considered changing their entire business model because they were so afraid of payment processors. Like payment processors are enormously powerful.
Yeah, I mean, they're basically the ones that do regulation for a lot of the internet, right? Like payment processors are the ones that decided what type of porn is okay and not okay. That didn't come from Congress. It literally came from like, we're not supporting this. Like payment processors essentially deleted 90% of the videos on all the mainstream porn sites when they were trying to...
Imagine giving up like $400 million just because you can't.
What do you think about like all the Kick Twitch stuff?
Oh, in regards to what? It's a big topic.
True. Do you think Kick...
Like which part?
Do you think Kick is going to survive long term?
I think that it survives as long as Eddie wants it to survive.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like, it's a really interesting thing because they really aren't trying to compete on I think everybody looks at it like, well, okay, well, like Twitch is... Like, Kick needs to become like Twitch. Like, they need to implement large amounts of advertisements or they need to take higher percentages from subs. But they don't really understand the business model.
What do you think is the eventual path to monetization for Kick?
I don't think they need to monetize. They have 2.3% of their total audience that's hitting their page converting to stake users, and the lifetime value of a stake user is over $400. So it's like...
Do you think that if the site continues to grow and draw more mainstream people, that those... I would expect to see that those numbers would probably... The conversion will probably decrease quite a bit.
I don't... So there's... Kick is making a lot of interesting choices to make that... So everyone's like everyone pays attention to things like, let's look at the last change that Kick made, right? Like where you can now toggle off gambling streams, right? But the only people that would toggle that off are probably outside of the convertible demographic for people that would go to gambling. And it's in the subtle decisions that Kick is making, such as like platforming like people like Aiden or Train as equity level spokespeople for the website that is actually driving that level of conversion. And I think people should understand that when we're talking about 2.3 to 2.7% conversion, that is that 2 to 3 people that...
There's no way that number is true. I can't believe that.
I mean, both Eddie and XQC showed like pretty reliable data on that.
That's an insane conversion.
I mean, like if I were putting up those results for my marketing campaigns, like I would be getting messaged by people that like, how are you doing that? Like, yeah. But when you think about it in the context of like, okay, if I'm a dedicated user to these people and I know, like, and trust them, and I mean, converting into those users can almost be done. There's a lot of like really advanced marketing shit going on here because converting those users can almost be done automatically without calls to action. And even if you are taking the appearance of actively like encouraging people to like not gamble and say those things, the very way that influencer marketing like translates can like allow that to happen. It's a real complex thing.
Do you think that like, because the first wave of people that got drafted to this site were essentially like Gambo streamers and Gambo audiences, so that's why I feel like that conversion number is going to fall significantly. I mean, even if it fell to like 0.5%, that's still obviously really good. But yeah, I guess I'm curious how much that would maintain, I guess.
Yeah, so I think that a couple of things that Eddie has been saying are really true. Like, number one is that it's just not as expensive to run a CDN, like a content delivery network, for like what we would think of as like encoding or building like actual live streaming technology as it once was. Like a lot of the cost of building that went into R&D that Twitch had to do, and later Amazon's acquisition of Twitch was predominantly for that technology, right? It was to acquire that CDN in order to make that IVS, which is the product that they then sell to Kick, right? Like for them to run it. But the funny result of that is that IVS is actually like a more effective business model to build a streaming platform on because all of that work has been done for you. Yeah. So now if you run really lean, your costs are actually, and your overhead is like way less than a really sophisticated company like Twitch, which just has like a lot more to worry about.
Yeah, that's like, that was my thought basically. Is that like if your goal is IVS has been built, the CDN is taken care of, Twitch has what, like 1,900 employees now or something. If you can run Twitch, essentially what they do, but with like 100 employees, like, is it possible that that's your basically path to success? You don't have to worry about any of the data, any of that bullshit or whatever. You run it as lean as possible. Usually your biggest expense is related to wages anyway. Like, is that like an actual path to viability? But I still think that unless they're literally planning on only funding it with stake, I still feel like at some point they need to introduce advertisements or something else to the platform to start making money.
Well, so the couple things here. So Twitch has a lot of extraneous expenses beyond wages that don't make sense, like whether it be like their tens of millions, if not like it was 100 million or something, investments in like music and esports and all these things.
Wait, buying the rights to the Ultra music show, you don't think would cause Twitch to explode as a platform, Devin? Okay.
Dude, like the $100 million investment in that or whatever. I mean, I can't even call it. It's weird we call those investments.
Yeah. When they were getting they got Thursday Night Football from Amazon, right? That was nice. Yeah, but
yeah, but all of those decisions, like if you run like literally, like we're talking about like hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of decisions, literally, like right, like over the course of like 4 or 5 years. I mean, even to the point where like CLG and like my former company and like TSM and all these companies like debatably existed because Twitch was propping up esports and literally paying us to be there.
Yeah, I remember an old team I was on, Root, was getting like monthly like payments from Twitch for like longer than that team probably ever should have. And I thought it was funny. This is like fucking 12 years ago, but like, yeah, I'm sure that type of behavior probably continued. Yeah.
Yeah, we all were. Like, so if you can run a platform without like all those, you just don't want to do those obligations. And then further, like, I think a lot of other stuff has changed. Like, so for example, like baked into the infrastructure of Twitch, their trust and safety team and their moderation is basically entirely manual.
Yeah.
And it's all done through like internal teams that they have to pay San Francisco wages to.
Yeah.
But Eddie lives in fucking...
I don't know if anybody else on the internet is running moderation manually anymore. Is there any large company that does it?
Facebook.
Really?
Yeah,
no
Facebook does
shot.
the majority of yeah, Facebook does the majority of their moderation through manual means. There's actually like tons of articles you can look at about it, like where there's like the psychological effects of it, where like there are tons, and to be clear, there are automated systems that are supporting Facebook, so it's not like completely manual, but there is. I mean, I am talking like I think it's like tens of thousands of contractors that manually go through posts, look for anti-vax shit, look for like, it's like crazy how, and still have an incredible error rate.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah. YouTube's managed to do it mostly automated. I couldn't even tell you on Twitter. It's such a shit show. I don't even know anymore.
Yeah.
Reddit is volunteer police force, so that's covered. What else is there? Instagram is a version of Facebook. Yeah. So but yeah, like that. The problem is like at least Facebook is outsourcing all of that to like third world, but Twitch is paying San Francisco salaries for those people.
True.
And that's just a huge cost. So I think that like even if you just drop all that stuff, I actually think you can get Kick close to the point where like Eddie and these guys, they're so wealthy, right? Like they're unspeakably wealthy. Like they may be able to self-fund for years before they ever run into this problem. And that's crazy. That's kind of crazy to think about, especially if they're running like lean. And I do think that like a lot of the ways that Eddie thinks about business development are like with the times, whereas it feels like Clancy and like a lot of the executives at Twitch are years behind. And now you know, remember Eve?
Yeah.
Like so like this is I totally remember Game and all this stuff. Eve has this problem of like being around for 20 years. There's spaghetti code that just like POSs or stations, like player-owned stations.
I feel like they finally fixed that a few years ago, but I
did they really?
Yeah, there was a big
okay, yeah,
POS
shit. Like there's so many things like that in Eve where it's like, okay, we're trying to implement a feature, but we're running into this problem where 20 years ago, this weird developer like put in this thing, and now it breaks the entire local chat every single time that we implement like this like one change to jump freighters. Yeah, and I think that Twitch is like stuck in that to the extreme. Like they can't. They're like the ship. It takes so long to turn that you just, unless you build it from the ground up like Eddie's doing, you just can't get an efficient engine anymore. And so when I first started out, like thinking about Kick, I was like, "There's no fucking way this website is going to work. Like this is insane." But now the more that I think about it, the more that I think it actually could. The huge vulnerability that nobody wants to talk about, and Eddie has even addressed directly, and I'll just say it, I know this is controversial, this is like gets clips, blah, blah, blah. I'm not about that game. Like, I don't even do any like that stuff anymore. Like, but like, unless you address the problems of like Aiden Ross and like the people that are like very clearly platforming just stuff that like, I have some pretty risky brands in my portfolio that I work for that like they're willing to do some pretty crazy shit. Like they'll take risks on they'll do the quotation brand risk stuff. They will not even turn their head at Kick because they'll take one look at like what some of the influencers on there are doing, and they'll be like, yeah, we're out. Like, no fucking way.
True, but I mean, like, that's always the dilemma of every like early platform, right?
Yeah, but like.
Like, you're not going to pick up like your super brand safe content because you have to pay like an ultra premium price for them, and then like you're probably trying to pick up like stuff on the outskirts. Although they probably pay a lot for Aiden Ross too, but I don't know. It seems like that's every new platform. You're just like, listen, we've got a really lax TOS. We don't give a. We don't have to count out of advertisers. We're just going to bring in whoever to drive up user acquisition as much as possible before we like get serious. You know.
You can, but I think the difference is that. There's a couple of things there, right? So like the first thing is at a certain level, you become like motherless.com or World Star Hip Hop. And then sort of all the brands kind of write off your website. And if you have no moderation and no policing, I'm talking about like crazy, like platforming Nazi level shit, anti-LGBTQ stuff to the extreme. The kind of stuff we're seeing on Kick right now is not the kind of stuff that when a brand has a first impression of you is going to be easy to forgive years later. Whereas like if you've got a guy on Twitch that was like lighting a chair on fire and peeing it out, okay, like that's like something that like people can get over in time. But like actual hate level stuff, there's a really like I'll tell you exactly what's going on like in the brand risk like quotations like world right now. The truth is that very few agencies run everything. So like we're talking like maybe a couple dozen maximum. And I think we're actually at Nova, we're coming close to breaking into that that like walled garden, where brands basically go, okay, who can I trust to run my advertising, and are they going to do like a pretty good job, and like do they fit the KPIs, blah blah blah, and then they outsource all that shit. They don't want to do it themselves. They do have some internal marketing, but that's like for UGC and all kinds of other. So anyway, agencies basically make the decision. We get a budget, right? So they'll say, here's $500,000, here's $1 million. Here's $10 million, figure out what you're going to do this year based on like our kind of direction. And then we decide where to spend that money. People think there's a conversation going on, and I have this disagreement with Tyler a lot, where he will say the world is going to realize at one point that these brand risk people are authentic and they drive more conversions because of it. They drive, I'm obviously saying his argument in a more
eloquent way,
efficient way, yeah. But basically, we will realize that the brand risk people are like the real ones, and then they're going to be the one, and then that's going to be like the new leaders of the new world. And I can tell you unequivocally, it is the exact opposite. Brands are more scared than ever. I've never had to deal with more questions about brand risk and more questions about like these problems because they are so polarized by shit like Budweiser that like when like they are so afraid of like half of their market share dropping off overnight because of one wrong tweet or something like that. I don't think we're gonna, and like so back to that like dozen agencies problem. Once those agencies take a look at something, and it takes something like a Forbes or XQC level deal to make them look at it, which I really think was the purpose of the XQC deal. Once they take a look at that and they see that kind of stuff on the platform, they will often write off that platform for years or indefinitely. And that's what I'm worried about with Kick. I don't think it's possible unless Kick takes extreme measures to curtail those those content creators very fast.
Sure. Yeah, I kind of agree. I feel like at some point, though, like if you can get the user acquisition high enough, you do acquire enough people that like at some point you're not going to be able to say no, right? Like people thought that every advertiser would flee from Twitter and never return, but I mean, like it's fucking Twitter. You're really not going to buy cheap advertising space, you know, given the opportunity to if everybody else is running away. So I do feel like to some extent, like getting a lot of users is going to be important to their success, but yeah, I don't know how much you can counteract. Like, but then at some point too, they're also gonna have to like curb like the Aiden Rosses and shit. Like that's not gonna be allowed to stand, you know?
Yeah, but like what I guess like where where we differ maybe is on the point at which that happens. Like I would say I think that
It
point
should have
is like
happened
now.
already. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's because like if you look at like something like Twitter, we stopped spending on Twitter. I mean we had several $100,000 running there. I'm not sure how much it was, but like we stopped spending on Twitter, and we did it along with every other brand because of uncertainty. So it wasn't because of brand risk, and we did it because like we weren't really sure what was going to happen next.
Sure.
And like marketing and stocks and all that shit, they don't like uncertainty. We don't like it because like we're not sure like maybe this platform will be completely different. But once it became apparent that it wasn't gonna be like a total like Nazi shit show. Like everybody just turned back on their ads, including us.
Yeah.
And it was fine. But like the problem on Kick is like, how do I explain this? You can get classified as like a website that like has a pretty generous user base, but you just never go there. Look at like 4chan, for example, right? Like, do you think that like a Fortune 500 company is ever going to advertise there? There's no shot, right?
Probably
like,
not. But I also don't think that, I could be wrong. I don't think 4chan has that many users. Is there data on that? It always feels like this really big, ominous website, but like it wouldn't surprise me. For instance, I'm gonna throw
it's like 10 users.
No, not 10 users, but it wouldn't surprise me if like Reddit was like 1 or 2 orders of magnitude larger. That there might be like 100 times as many users on Reddit as 4chan. That wouldn't surprise me if that was the case.
Yeah. How many users? That's a really good question. I actually have no idea. Wikipedia says 22 million unique monthly viewers.
Oh, that's more than I thought.
It's a lot. But I guess like my point is that like, okay, yeah, let's go back to the theory because like this is really interesting. Like, I don't think that a brand will ever make the decision to advertise in a place, even on the super cheap,
With people
or for
like
any
Ed and
reason,
Ross,
if they feel that the risk is enough to drive significant controversy to themselves.
That's probably true. If Pornhub were to start selling ads for 1 cent, Coke would probably never buy ads on Pornhub. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And furthermore, actually that gets into another problem, which is payment processing, which is that as soon as you cross certain barriers, companies like Stripe, which run the entire backend for Kick right now, will actually back off from you. And that's actually, you used Pornhub as an example. They can't use traditional payment processors because those payment processors and those banks will not support pornography. And as a result, there are like, and actually the real reason for that is chargebacks. Because there's something like 1 to 3% chargebacks on pornography purchases. So those payment processors have just said, we aren't going to support that because it costs us way too much to process all these transactions, all these false transactions. And if you run into that kind of situation of like that brand risk enough on a platform like Kick, I think the payment processors start having a problem, and then you're really fucked.
Yeah.
So like let's say for example that the pornography stuff doesn't get addressed on Kick, or it's like considered like way too sexual. It's a subjective line, but once it's crossed, those payment processors just decide, no, we're good. And then like that happened, like, and that's like OnlyFans even considered changing their entire business model because they were so afraid of payment processors. Like payment processors are enormously powerful.
Yeah, I mean they're basically the ones that do regulation for a lot of the internet, right? Like payment processors are the ones that decided what type of porn is okay and not okay. That didn't come from Congress. It literally came from like, we're not supporting this. Like payment processors essentially deleted 90% of the videos on all the mainstream porn sites when they were trying to be in compliance and shit. Yeah.
Yeah, they run the show, man. Yeah, so I think that there's a lot of those considerations going on. The other thing is like, one of the things I've been thinking about with like stuff like DMCA on Kick, where a lot of people like went, including me in the past, like have come at platforms a lot for violating safe harbor. That is like people like Aiden streaming the Super Bowl and stuff like that. Now I think like, I'm not even sure that anyone ever will police anything related to DMCA. Like I don't know if like that'll ever become the case. The amount of time that it takes like a federal body to go after someone like Kick, even to become aware of them, it's so glacial that I don't know if they'll ever suffer at that level. I do think that like the music industry and the entertainment industry will take notice, but I don't really understand the implications of that, or like what that'll mean, like practically.
Yeah, I think the way that DMCA is structured right now, like the site should essentially be shielded from liability. So it basically comes down to if like companies want to start suing streamers, which I'm surprised they don't at all. But
well, the right federal agency could make the argument that Kick is violating safe harbor because they are not taking decisive action to ban things like a 200,000 viewer stream.
But it wouldn't be, that would have to come through like a court case, right? Because I'm pretty sure that when you talk about like copyright violation and stuff, these are all like civil matters. It's not going to be like, it's not going to be a criminal matter that like a court, the state or federal government pushes action against or whatever, right? It's going to be somebody making the argument that they should be able to hold Kick liable and et cetera.
Yeah, which is why, like I said, I don't think that DMCA is going to impact Kick on like a real level. That's exactly why I think it's not going to happen. Somebody could sue XQC because he streamed, what was it? Some movie recently, Dark Knight or something.
Yeah, The Dark Knight, yeah.
Yeah, that can and should happen and would be really funny.
Wow,
but
hater.
For me. But like Kick's problem is so neither you or I can know like if their financial situation is such that they can support the website without advertising or not. My understanding of like the people running Kick is that they have so much money they can probably keep it running almost indefinitely if they run the business lean.
Sure. I mean, I've got enough money to probably feed like 2 or 3 homeless guys outside of my house forever. That doesn't mean I'm going to do it, right? Like, so I'm sure they could theoretically support Kick for however long. I think Eddie guy might be a billionaire, so they could do it. But I mean, I think he is. They probably don't want to bleed money forever. I'm sure they want some path towards monetization or something, right? Or
if that's the case, then you can't you're in trouble because you can't change the subscription shit because that's really what's pushing you above Twitch.
That's never going to change, yeah.
And you've promised not to.
Yeah, you can't do that.
And then you also can't change like the donate, all that like baked in shit like the splits. So now you have to do advertising. Now where does that bring you? Back to me, sure. Right? Like, and I just think that Kick is so far from
being advertiser ready.
Yeah, man. And I mean like any advertisers, and they'll be like, well, have a couple of advertisers interested. I know it's not true. There's no significant advertiser willing to drop. And then like okay, like here's the thing, right? Even if they were gonna do it, like let's say, okay, sure, like I'm ready, I'm ready to spend right now. I'll throw $500,000 on the website. Fuck it. How? Right? Like there's no system in place. There's no like white glove service. There's no I don't know what I'm getting. There's no deliverables. There's no I just physically can't spend the money. Like never like fuck the brand risk stuff. I physically can't spend the money.
Yeah.
It's not possible because like it doesn't. Like when I go do a media buy for Twitch, they're like, you get front page and you get to run these like ads and these ads appear on stream. That system doesn't exist and isn't built into IVS natively. So they would have to build that from the ground up. And the smartest way to do that, if Eddie is wise, is to partner with an ad network, right?
Sure. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. They bought IVS, right? Like if other people are already doing it on their own, why in-house it when you could just contract it out to somebody else, right?
Yeah, so like an ad network is really smart because do you know about ad networks at all?
When you say ad network, are you referring to something like Google AdSense or?
No.
What do you mean?
Well, yes, but like Google AdSense is the biggest ad network,
yeah.
But there are others that are independently owned and they essentially just control running ads on.
Yeah, when you say ad network to me, what comes to mind in my eyes is I'm basically going to program like video slots or website slots on my site where ads can be filled, and then I'm going to give you complete and total access to all of that in exchange for some cut of the money, basically.
Okay, so I it's a little. I'm thinking a little bit differently.
Okay.
Like an ad network would be a single company that owns the contracts to a collection of high traffic websites and then serves ads to those, and when that single company has a built-in infrastructure to do that. So what they would do is they would add kick.com to that list, and then they would run the ads from their brands against it. Does that make sense?
Okay, sure, yeah.
Yeah, so the best thing that Kick could do is partner with one of those ad networks that would just add them on, and that has the secondary benefit of adding authenticity to Kick immediately because they're part of that ad network. So all the brands say, well, we can advertise there. Mm-hmm. So now we go back to the whole problem of like, well, how do you actually like get that authenticity? Because I don't think it's possible right now with the brand risks that are on the platform. Mm-hmm. I don't think we're even close. And like, I don't. The thing is, like, if you look at the terms of service for Kick, it's basically a copy and paste of Twitch, sure. But they don't enforce it. So I don't know if that's out of a lack of wanting to, or if it's like what you said, where they're just trying to maximize UA and they think they can get away with it.
Yeah.
But I think it's a spooky line. I think it's a really like it's going to be close because you really can get written off by advertisers, like for sure, for permanently.
Mm-hmm.
And then like it's kind of over. Like you sort of just have to like. But how much has Eddie really like talked about his plan being to like integrate advertising into website? I guess a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to check. I don't even know. I think he's done 1 or 2 shows where they've talked about stuff like this. Yeah.
Yeah, he had this one with Jake. Jake, is it Lucky or Sucky?
It's Jake Lucky, isn't it? Or is it Jake Sucky? It might be Jake Sucky. Fuck, no, I don't know.
I think it's Sucky. I don't know. I sound like a 70-year-old. There's a Jake Sucky. Yeah, whatever it is. He's talked about like he had a really interesting statement I was trying to parse through that was like, we've done a profitable deal. I think it was with like an F1 team, and like we've already made Kick profitable in the first month. And that immediately sent alarm bells off to me because I have a client that we advertise in F1 with. Mm-hmm. And that's not how those contracts work. You don't get paid by those teams to put your name on that car. You pay them.
Yeah.
Right. So that like Kick has that. It's actually prominent on the website. Let me see. I can find it right now because you just go to the front page. It's there. It's their partnership with. Here it is. Alfa Romeo F1. Mm-hmm. Main partner, Kick. And Eddie was saying, oh, that deal is made Kick profitable, and it's like Kick.
Well, when he says that it's made them profitable, I imagine that somehow through advertising, what he means is they funneled enough money into stake or something else such that the advertisement was dramatically worth it, right?
There's no way to objectively figure that out.
Sure. Because
you're saying like the logo on an F1 car drove X number of people to compulsively gamble to pay for our like multi-million-dollar, which is what that is. It's a multi-million-dollar sponsorship, right? The way it was, the way it was said was like, we brokered this deal and Alfa Romeo is paying us, and like that's not true. there's no way that's true.
Yeah, I would have to go and listen because I doubt that sounds kind of like a silly statement to say. It feels like I don't know if he would say that, but hey,
that's what that no, he didn't say it directly, but that's what like was implied. That basically by that deal became that deal made Kick profitable. So I was like that was like really weird. I think it's cool. I think it's cool to be an F1. Like sports are fun, but if you want the ad networks and the advertisers to look at the website, there just has to be so many changes.
Sure.
Yeah. Are you still on Rumble?
No.
What happened?
I killed that contract.
You killed it.
Yeah, because honestly, it was juggling my fans around all 3 platforms was becoming a lot. Probably not good.
Yeah, it's a shit show.
The compensation was significantly lower. And then the required stream times were getting very dicey because like I'm starting to travel and everything so much, and the fact that they require like a certain number of streams or whatever was just a little bit too much. Yeah, no ill will towards them. I think their platform is really good. I don't have any ill will towards them. So yeah, but
so are you only with Kick and YouTube now?
With Kick essentially, yeah, and then I'm allowed to dual stream on YouTube as I stream on Kick. Yeah.
Oh, you are.
Yes, but with the stipulation that I killed the embeds on my website. So you have to watch from either the Kick website or YouTube right now. There are no embeds on my site or my DGG chat on my stream for 1 year.
For a year?
Yeah.
I'm so juiced. This is an interesting situation. Doesn't that... Maybe it doesn't... Okay, so maybe... Does that matter? Because you're basically getting the same split from Kick from your subscribers as you are from DGG, huh? Well, because after transaction fees, isn't it almost the same at 95.5?
I probably get a little bit more from my website. I mean, when I'm thinking of like subscribers, I'm not thinking of money from one side to the other. It's other incentives that are compensating me for that, obviously. But
do you think you're losing subscribers on your Destiny.gg website as a result of? Does that chat become less prominent?
I mean, almost certainly it will.
Yeah.
So the goal, obviously, over the years is to find other value adds on the site to minimize potential audience losses there, right? Because I don't want to, after a year, like my chat is just like dead. That would be really sad.
Look at Co Carnage's one. I think he's one of the best people to do it. He has a similar thing. I think it's coalition.com. and he has a ton of incentives, a lot of bake-ins to the stream, and a lot of forum stuff. It's 100% worth looking into, like make an account.
Yeah, but the limitations are going to be I can't display anything from DGG on my stream either. That's another stipulation. So, like chat's not on screen or anything.
Oh my god.
So we got
okay. What about on-stream notifications?
So yeah, like donos and stuff will come through and stuff. Yeah, but
yeah. So there you go. So you can do everything. Like most of the coalition stuff is like the ability to he has a really interesting system on donating games where you can actually donate a game on Steam into like a pool and then it goes out for giveaway.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I'm sure there's things I'm gonna do, but like I obviously my goal is to perform the functions of my contract in as good faith possible. So my goal is to drive like authentic traffic to the Kick website, have people engaging with the chat there. Like that's why it's the chat that I read on stream and everything. Like yeah, because the issue that we ran into before basically is that like my chat experience is very good and it's very easy for me to convert people over to my chat website. But it's for Kick, I think they want to drive right UA. They don't want just like people watching an embed and then doing all of the community stuff on another stream because it basically means there's no engagement with their website whatsoever, and then when I stop streaming nobody's like flowing over to any other streams or anything. So
yeah, they want literal signups. Which makes tons of sense. And they're probably gonna get it through because okay, so how are you displaying, let's say you're multi-streaming right now. Are you multi-streaming right now? You're on Kick also?
Yep. Yeah, Kick and YouTube, yeah.
So if you are multi-streaming, how are you doing any kinds of, like, do you have contractual, as much as you can talk about, do you have like deliverables where you have to like call people to Kick, or like say you're streaming on Kick every once in a while?
I don't think they're like very specifically spelled out, but like obviously I need to engage with the Kick chat and everything. I can't just ignore them and just like read another chat. But I like a lot of stuff seems to be, I don't want to say like gentlemen's agreements, but like obviously they're looking for like a good faith attempt to engage with the Kick platform and to drive people there as much as possible. So like theoretically, like let's say that we're a month in and they're like, you've signed up like 5 new accounts, like Addy might tell me like, hey, listen, can you do like CTAs or something to like drive something? Like that might be a thing, but that's not there yet. So yeah, we're just
got it. Okay, so your relationship is actually that direct, where it's like you could just talk to Eddie and like it's like that bespoke.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it seems to be the case so far. Yeah.
Damn, that's actually super sick. Congratulations, because I know you'd been looking for platform solutions for a long time, and then your YouTube's probably crushing it because you're getting all of the CPM from your YouTube, which is really successful, right? Like I think you average like I think your ABD's like like 200K or something, or like viewers every or your
So yeah, between all 3 of my channels, I'm pulling like 20 million views a month. So yeah, my YouTube sub is like phenomenal. Yeah, that's basically like my main, like streaming. I just stream for fun, kind of. So if I can get paid really well for it too, that's cool. But like all of my primary income and everything is basically like YouTube and everything. So
hell yeah, congrats, man. That's awesome. Like you've like,
thanks, Mycock.
I remember I told you the prophecy, man. I told you getting banned from Twitch, you were gonna get even bigger. You're gonna grow even more.
Yeah, that's what everybody seemed to say. So here we are, still trying.
You just it's interesting too. You know what's really interesting about Kick? I've been trying to think about. I'll probably I might like try to do something like more official on this, where I like actually try to figure this out. It seems to me that there is natural discovery coming in from Kick that's like not there for like, so like at a certain level, like below like 500, it might even be more, depends on how saturated the category is. There just isn't any native discovery on Twitch for streamers. Like you will not get you just will not get new viewers coming in.
That was definitely true at one point. I think Twitch has done a good job at upping. It took them fucking a decade to do it, but I think Twitch actually did a decent job at now getting whatever they do. The similar streamer recommendation is doing pretty well. Like if I go and watch a couple political streamers on Twitch, even logged out, I'm starting to get recommended similar streamers that, yeah, they've done a pretty good job over the past year or two of actually bringing that system online. So I'll give them credit for that.
The system is there. It doesn't seem to be converting new viewers to the lower viewer streams still.
Yeah, maybe not. It might only be people that already watch the streams or something, but at the very least they're identifying similar streams, which is a step in the right direction, but yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's true. And what's happening on Kick seems to be that like we're getting a lot of people that come there with like maybe they bring over like a 30 to 50 viewer audience from Twitch, and then that audience becomes like 150 to 200 people. Maybe, and that's interesting because that like goes back to like the 2012 2015 days of Twitch, right?
Maybe, yeah, where you can actually grow a little bit as a mid-sized streamer. Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm
hopefully
trying to
that-
figure out like what drives those viewers. I'm also trying to figure out on Kick what a view is. That's another problem for
Yeah, this
advertisers,
is
by
a
the way.
big thing. I hope that they've done a decent job at like reining in like the view botting and everything. I think like the multiple tab stuff, but something I realized when I was talking to Chris from Rebel 2, what you count as a viewer is actually somewhat contentious. So you can technically tell the truth. That is probably not what people are thinking, right? Like, does an embed count as 1 view or 2 views? How long do you hold on to a viewer for, right? A session.
Yeah, because Rumble holds on to viewers longer after they leave, right?
So this is just what the CEO told me. So I always preface that.
That's my understanding. Yeah.
I always preface that this is what the CEO told me because they could be lying, but just so I think Chris told me that they hold on. I want to say for less than 30 minutes. I won't give the exact figures on it, but he said that the time was not very long on how long they held on to a viewer for.
Well, wait, still, like, what if we're talking about a live stream and a viewer leaves? If that viewer is a ghost for 30 minutes, that's a fucking enormous amount of time.
Sure, it was significantly less than 30 minutes. I'll say it was like 5. I think he said 2 minutes or 5 minutes. I don't know how much I should technically. But, yeah. But like, But so, and I think Twitch might be similar. Kick, I think, claims they might be similar. I'm not sure if they've released that specifics yet, but obviously, clearly, the way that viewers are counted right now seems to be a little different on Kick, and I hope they figured that out sooner rather than later. But yeah.
Something is going on there for sure. I don't know what it is, and I don't like know if it's nefarious or something. But like, as Kick exists today, there's no way that I would like let's say that like all the brands risk stuff is fixed and everything. It's so hard to understand what a view actually is.
You're going to be doing affiliate marketing. You're not going to be doing paid per view or whatever, right?
Well, I just go I would go directly to influencers.
Oh, sure, but what I'm saying is you'd probably pay the influencer based on like click through and stuff. You wouldn't be paying based on just flat viewer amounts, right?
Exactly. Yeah, because it's just too weird. I don't understand it. Like there are so many inflated viewer counts, and I know that and this is a problem on Twitch as well. That like a lot of top people actually just deliberately view bot themselves, or have someone do it.
Something go ahead.
Yeah. No,
something I notice as I get more involved in the world of like YouTube and doing podcasts and everything as well is I feel like almost everybody is like view botting their like Instagrams and Twitters and everything too. Like the engagement I get across like almost all my platforms is so high compared to most people. That like as 150,000 person on Twitter, I get like as much engagement with accounts with like 500,000 to 1 million followers, sometimes more. And I notice that across like YouTube channels and everything too, that I'm running into all these channels with like over 1 million subs and they get like 10,000 views per video. I don't know if like it's just standard practice that like everybody view bots, or if maybe my audience just has exceptional engagement, or like some combination of the two. But yeah, it's really wild.
It is a combination of the two, but you're 100% right. The number of inauthentic. So this is one of the things that makes YouTube so special is that you can't really game the actual views on a video. You can buy views, but if you do that, the algorithm is going to tank you forever, and eventually your channel will fail. Yeah. Whereas like on platforms like Instagram or like Twitter or anywhere else, right? It's almost common. So it's pretty common practice for like, let's say, we don't do this at Nova because we don't do anything with influencers. But if you're a talent agency, you're onboarding like a new celebrity onto like Instagram or something like that, you'll buy an existing account, which basically like the way that they do these meme farms, where like you'll just post all of these like viral memes, you'll meme jack everything, and it's just like automated, and they get up to like 1-2 million followers, then they delete all the account information, they just give it to that celebrity. And so like some people that are listening, they might have had the perception it's like somebody just appeared. That like one day there was like a celebrity that just had like 20 million followers, and it's like, wait, what the fuck? Like that's what's happening there.
People do this with Reddit accounts where yeah. Oh wait, hold on. This is gonna be such a random piece of history. I wonder if you know this guy. Do you ever remember a guy, or did we ever talk about a guy on Reddit called Trapped in Reddit?
No.
Oh fuck, that's such an ancient piece of Reddit lore. But
let's see.
It's a long story, but basically, he was like the first guy to a long time ago. He was like the first guy to, what he would do is anytime a meme would get reposted or anytime a thing would get reposted, he would go into the thread and then he would post the top comment from the last time that particular thing got posted.
Oh, okay.
And what happened was somebody finally found him out And then some guy made a response. I think it was literally like the response like, I finally figured you out, you motherfucker. And then the guy like detailed how that trapped in Reddit guy was at the top of every single Reddit post. How he was getting so much karma on everything. And then his account got nuked. But that strategy basically was being used to, I think it's used on a lot of Reddit accounts now. When you look at a lot of Reddit accounts that are posting in threads and stuff, they're just like reposting comments from old threads just to boost the karma so that they're sold to other people eventually.
There's a phenomenon in Reddit that I can't explain where sometimes you'll go into a thread and every single comment will be basically the same, but it's all from different user accounts. And so like I always wonder like how many bots are actually making comments on Reddit, right? Like it seems to be a lot.
I remember that every now and then it's really funny. I wish I could find a link to this because it happened recently. Every now and then in my subreddit, like a thing will get posted and then like a bunch of bots will show up, like 5 or 10 bot accounts will show up. They're like, this is a really cool story, dude. Thanks for posting. Like 5 or 10 bot accounts will like post. It's like, where the fuck are these people coming from? Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and to what benefit, right? Like, like why are they, it must be that like they can sell the karma accounts on the back end. Like I didn't know there was like a huge market for that. Like when something is obvious for like Instagram followers, it makes sense why you're making like a bot farm. But like for something like the other one that's really prominent is Discord, where like Discord, you'll just get invaded by like 100 bots, right? And they don't do anything. They just like sit there forever. I don't know why these things exist. I don't know if they're like collecting data or whatever. It's weird. It happens all the fucking time.
Yeah, interesting stuff.
Yeah. The platform war is really cool. I think a lot of the stuff that like Train and Eddie say, I actually like agree with. And I think that now we can actually do the Scuff podcast again. I'm hearing Train is surfacing back from the depths to bring us back together. And since like, it kind of got to be a shit show because like half of the fucking squad was banned. and so now I think it might actually happen. And if it does, we'll probably talk a lot about these kind of things. But like, I do agree with a lot of what they're saying around like driving, if nothing else, if Kick just drives Twitch to, I guess, like take themselves more seriously as like oh, we actually need to compete, that's good. Like I'm down for that. And I do think when I listen to Eddie talk that he seems to really care about solving some of the fundamental problems that are that the creators have. I hope I don't eat my words on that, but it you know, because it just seems to be, but maybe he could have even started off as like an 80-20 split or something like that if he didn't believe that. I'm not sure, but like,
I mean, all we can do is wait and see, really, right? Like, I understand, and obviously, I'm not gonna shit on Eddie. I'm a huge deal or anything, but like, obviously, that's the CEO. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say like the CEO said this, guy, so it's definitely gonna happen because obviously he's the fucking CEO. I would expect him to say that, but yeah, I mean, all we can do is hope and see what happens. Yeah, but in like company leadership, what CEOs say is important. Like, we have this, especially like the internet has this sorry, so I want to put my thoughts together, right? The internet has this like stipulation, like all CEOs are bullshitting all the time, all of them are like horrible. What a CEO like Clancy or Eddie says does translate their actual thoughts. They're trying to be political, to like, and they're trying to convey something that's like they're trying to like, they've got like a spool they're running, right? Like they've got something. But if Eddie could say any number of things, right? Like, and that's why like I would pay like less attention to something where he's like, yeah, like we're not using this as like a gambling arm or something like that. Like obviously like stake is involved, but when he says like we're creator first and then all of the actions seem to back that up, like there's I agree.
There's permanence in that. Yeah.
Even I remember Nick Fuentes said this to me once in an argument. It was actually really smart. I'm glad he realized this. It's really important to look at, some people will say like, who cares what Putin says? Putin fucking lies all the time. And like, yes, there are certain world leaders or dictators that lie, but it's really important to see what they say because like what they lie about and how they say it, it tells you like what their intentions are, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because like people aren't just, unless you're speaking totally on a script, like that people are generally voicing a reflection of their internal dialogue.
Yeah, and even if they're not being like 100% like, obviously if they're selling you a positive story of their site, like the things that they talk about to some extent are going to be reflective of, you know, the drives and the directions they're pushing the company and everything, right?
Exactly, and I feel like everything to that end for Eddie seems to be like this creator first mentality, and that's great, right? Because like, it seems to be what he's like predominantly focused on is like, and also another one you can tell is like, who do you bring on to be advisors or like equity level partners, right? And one interesting thing is like with Twitch, if you pay attention, there's like a lot of different executive factions in there and people that are kind of talking. Like there's the head of monetization that makes a lot of decisions. There's like the COO that makes a lot of decisions. But at Kick, we just have Eddie. And then we have Eddie and the people that he's bringing in as like quotation marks advisors, like Train. And so like Train's a person who I think, fuck, it's hard to determine what the fuck Train wants, but I think he wants ultimately for like Twitch to get its act together and be fair. And I don't know if he's like so down that hole that like he can't forgive them, you know? but like he's made a lot of tweets in the past few months. Like ultimately, I really just want like Kick to get their or Kick to cause Twitch to get their shit together, and that's cool. You know, if like so, the people that Eddie brings on are also indicative of like what he's thinking.
Yeah. It'll definitely be an interesting few years. Yeah.
It's definitely going to be a cool story, bro. I think a lot of people think that YouTube is in this game. And like YouTube's actually just like playing 4D underwater galactic hungry hippo chess in the corner, totally against themselves. Like YouTube has no competitor.
It seems like YouTube just doesn't ever really care about streaming much.
Yeah, well, they just approach it a different way. So like everyone's always like, well, why don't you add a directory? And it's because they believe that directories create kingmaker systems of individual streamers with like 30,000 viewers, and they'd rather have that problem solved by search.
Yeah. One thing I've noticed that's becoming increasingly true is subscriptions. I don't actually think subscriptions matter anymore on YouTube. The only thing that matters now is when you open up YouTube and you've got the recommended feed. The algorithms and everything have gotten so fucking good that it just doesn't matter anymore. And then to a further extent on that, like I don't think that like your subscribers matter much either. So like my last night on Destiny channel, I think has, I want to say like 100,000 subs. My main channel has around 700,000 subs, I think. My last night channel makes half the money as my main channel. It's just, like that, and it's obviously it's not because of all the subscribers I have. Like I think that recommended feed box has just become so fucking powerful, and the algorithms have gotten so good at like you can't really game the algorithm anymore, right? Like you have to make engaging content that people want to watch for long periods of time, or that people want to watch and then click through to other stuff. Like it's very, very hard to shortcut that system now. So yeah.
So there was a huge change that happened on YouTube. I'm not exactly sure when it happened, but it was around the time that like YouTube community posts occurred, where YouTube as an algorithm would take into account the sort of entire direction of your channel. And it would say, this is a finance channel, thus like the CPMs are like this, most of the videos are about this. And you would notice that because if you posted a video that was different from the content that you made, everything would tank. It wasn't just that your subscribers would respond worse, which you would expect, but it's also that the content physically didn't get served out because YouTube thought it would be less interesting. And then YouTube decided to make a change. And like out of all the people that I talked to YouTube the most because by far our agency spends the most money there. It's not even close. So YouTube made a change where the individual merit of a video alone dictates how well it's going to do. So your channel that could be completely politically focused could post a finance video or something that's pretty different and esoteric, and it would perform based on the standard stuff we'd expect, the how long people view it for, how like what the watch time is, the engagement, the CTR, right, all that stuff. So now channels can make an individual video that becomes successful, or you could have a channel about 50 different things. Yeah,
it's a lot more like merit-based rather than like, fuck, I nuked my channel because I put out 2 bad videos that got bad engagement, and now I've got to like make a new YouTube channel, something stupid like that, right?
Yeah, and so like a bunch of stuff changed simultaneously with this, right? Like another thing that changed, and some people noticed this, was you can also post, it doesn't matter when you post content. It used to be extremely important that you were consistent. And it still is like that if you want to make like a good amount of CPM or anything, like that's just because though that like you're aggregating more views by posting more videos. But if you post a video like Mr. Beast, for example, he posts once a month, right? Like his cadence is once a month. Lots of people post like every 2 or 3 months. Dream, for example, like can post like every 3 or 4 months. Totally fine, 50 million views. Like YouTube doesn't. It used to be that like if you didn't post like 3 to 5 times a week, you're fucked.
Sure.
And now YouTube doesn't care about that at all. So I think YouTube is so far ahead of the game and how they're, and then Shorts like took this to a whole nother level where like YouTube is so far ahead of the game in content creation that they just don't play the same game. And like people look at the market share of like the percentage of people that are streaming on Kick versus YouTube versus Twitch, and they think that that's like a competitive marker, but they don't understand how YouTube actually works.
Sure.
That doesn't matter at all. It is really impressive that Kick has managed to like aggregate like 8 to 9% of Twitch's total audience.
Well, theoretically, right?
So they actually have. So in comparison, like during our era, where like Shroud and Ninja were moving over to Mixer, they currently have more. They're more competitive against Twitch than Facebook and Mixer combined ever were, and in a far shorter amount of time. So that has to be paid attention to. That's really fucking interesting. That's like some crazy shit, right?
Yeah. Something that'll be interesting to see is, because this is said a lot, but it's hard to quantify, is people always talk about how important like culture is for not even just like corporate culture, but like the culture of the website. And it does seem like somehow Kick has done a good job at capturing, or they're getting to the point of capturing like the kind of like the Twitch culture. Like if you view like YouTube chats, or if you view like Rumble chats, like it feels like it's not quite Twitch, like something feels pretty off. But I think Kick has done a pretty good job at feeling kind of like Twitchy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, in like a fast amount of time. I think that was always the problem with like something like Facebook gaming, where like it was so drastically different to go there and like use your real name, or like Mixer, where like it was so you remember how fucking brand friendly it was?
Yeah. Where
there was like all these smiling faces, and like girl streamers would go down because they were wearing like a tank top. And like Mixer was like, no, you know, it's like fucking crazy how like they were policing stuff, so it just didn't feel like the same platform. Kick like as that feeling of how Twitch felt from 2012 to 2015, where it's like we're kind of like Wild West in it, and we're like freeballing and we're just going crazy, and like that's really attracting to a lot of people that miss that, right? Like, I guess I'm a little bit like old pilled because I have the whole advertising thing going on now, so like I have to pay so much, but like in terms of content I actually like to watch, Kick is like pretty cool for that.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. All we can do is wish for the best. Yeah.
What have you basically built a team around your content creation to the point where like do you do any work on your YouTube or like your VODs or anything?
No,
or is that all automated?
All of it is other people. Yeah, like that's mainly August. Yeah.
Are you paying? If you want to talk about this, are you paying like equity out for that, or
no? I don't really have like, my business isn't structured for. I'm pretty sure I need to do a C corp if I want to do equity shit, right? I looked into doing that for.
Sorry, I'm sorry, I used the wrong word. I meant like revenue share.
Oh, rev share, yeah. I think that was. In some ways, it's probably a mistake to do that, but it's fine, I guess. Like the way that I view it is that like if my stuff grows, I'm still okay with my employees growing with it, but yeah.
That implies to me that it's a fairly high rev share, okay?
Well, yeah, it was like 40% plus, yeah.
Dude! Oh my god!
I know.
Holy shit! That guy is swimming.
Yeah, there's got to be a lot of people living in his apartment building wondering like what drugs he sells or something. I don't know if he's.
He's just sitting at his computer making. Yeah, that's actually insane. And are you getting demonetized like a shit ton on YouTube, or have you found ways around that?
No, he does a lot of work to make sure that this stuff like falls within like the YouTube guidelines for demonetization and everything, so that that's not running. We don't run into that problem a lot. Yeah.
It's getting better, just in general, like the way that they are handling it. Do you run into like lower CPMs, like really dog shit CPMs, or are your CPMs pretty competitive?
I don't know. He would know better than I would. I'm assuming they're pretty competitive based on other numbers I've talked to from other people. They sound competitive, yeah.
I could tell you if I saw them, yeah. I'm just curious. Because, sometimes now you don't get demonetized, but you just get really dog shit CPMs because the only advertisers that will take you up are, like, just paying bottom dollar.
Well, sometimes we'll see a thing where it'll say... We'll see something where it'll say like this YouTube has decided that this video isn't appropriate for viewers of all ages or whatever, and those get put into a totally separate bucket of advertisers, I think.
Yeah, you go to the dark dimension. Yeah. And so that's going to be like $3 or less CPM, and you'll know if your whole channel has like less than $3 CPM, you're generally falling into that category.
Yeah.
But if your CPM is like Okay, so you're doing. Would you classify yourself as like politics? You do some weird shit. Like you're like.
It's hard to say. Yeah.
Let me go look at your channel because you're in this like. It's like kind of debate, but also like internet drama sphere.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on, you know.
Okay, I see some debate. Cancel culture, pro-life activists get mad. Andrew Tate. Yeah, you're in like the internet meta category. I have no idea what that's. I run absolutely zero. I should run ads here. Oh shit. How many people are in this? How many people like do this kind of like internet meta type stuff?
I don't know. As crazy as it sounds, I think I'm relatively unique in that I do a lot of politics, a lot of social issues, a lot of drama, and I think I do all of them really well. Like sometimes I get people that do like a lot of commentary stuff, but then they'll venture into politics and they are completely lost, or people that'll do like red pill stuff and then they talk about like Ukraine and it's fucking retarded. So I think I do everything pretty well, but.
Most people, they, myself included, like they hinge on like platform news and shit like that, but I don't see anything about like XQC moving or like any of that, like any of the Twitch drama stuff. Like you are in a kind of a different place. This is really interesting. Mm-hmm. And you're getting like, I really wonder like what the demographic for this is. Like it's like, right? Because you're crushing it in terms of view count.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I just pull a lot of people from a lot of different areas. Yeah, because I'm running around doing like a fuck ton of shows too, and I do pretty well on like other people's platforms as well. If I'm invited on. Do you know a channel called Impact Theory?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Tom Bilyeu or whatever. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I just did a show. I think I got posted yesterday on his channel. He's an interesting guy to talk to. He reminded me of stuff that you've said, kind of.
Why?
I feel
he's like an entrepreneur type, coach type. I watched some of his like long form podcast stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he took a company from 3 employees to 3,000 in 3 years. The Quest company for cookies and stuff.
Fuck.
And then sold it for $1 billion. Yeah, but then like his goal now is he's like, I want to create like comics and media and games around helping young people. I think it might be young men or just maybe young people in general, feeling like empowered to get through the world. I think like the story that he told me was for his employees, he would do things to kind of like motivate them to succeed outside in life and everything. And he like probably got like 2 to 3% of people to do that. And his idea is basically like, how do I get the other 97 to 98% engaged? And that's like his whole kind of like thing is what he's trying to do. So I thought it was interesting. Yeah.
How cool is that? What was your conversation about?
Just like politics, life, where everything on the internet's going, like pretty, unless I've got like a long rapport with somebody, it's going to be pretty surface level. Not surface level in that it's bad, but that it's like covering a lot of stuff that I cover on a lot of other podcasts. But no, it was a fun combo. He seems like a cool guy.
You've started to get into that sphere of like the Lex sphere, where like if you're not careful, you're gonna like find yourself on Joe Rogan pretty soon. Like I feel like there's the Chris. Oh, you're already on Chris Williamson, right?
Yeah, I've done like 2 or 3 or 4 shows with him, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so like you're entering. I feel like there's this like podcast sphere of like consistent guests. You might already be in it, actually.
Yeah, and then I did one show with who was the guy that Rogan used to be close friends with? Oh, he's like a comedian guy. I'm never gonna remember it. Fuck, I feel so bad for not remembering this guy's name because he's a cool guy too. Oh, Callan. Joe Callan?
Oh yeah.
Brian Callan. Brian Callan.
What's up? What's up, Devin? Long time.
Oh shit. Hi. What's up, Dan? Nice to see you, man.
Finally, a conversation I have something to offer to. Can I add a few points in here? Actually, I should put this to Steve. Steve, how real can we be? Because I understand that we are a kick consumer here, but
can be as real. There's nothing in my the only thing in my contract is I have to spend at least 30 minutes a month shitting on Pokemon and Asan, and I have to spend at least 15 minutes a month supporting an argument that Train is making based on whatever makes on LSF. But other than that, you're free to talk about whatever you want.
So a few things here. Man, where do I start? First off, a concurrent viewer is a concurrent viewer. And anyone who doesn't count it as a concurrent viewer, they know what they're doing it, and they're doing it on purpose. That's it. There is this, I hold on to it for 30 seconds. No.
Yeah, hold on. What you just said is technologically, that's not true. They're not doing...
What do you mean? They're not people that are getting a video feed. Like, I'm not getting a video feed 10 seconds in the past.
I would bet any dollar amount of all the money that I own that there's not a single website that's doing a 1-second check every single time. The session probably has a timer, or there's probably like every 5 minutes it'll do a check for who's got a video feed, but I don't know of anyone that literally updates live every second. I'm sure that like there's probably an industry standard of like 1 to 2 minutes is how long you hold on to a viewer or something. That'd be my guess. I'd be almost certain.
For the purpose of advertising, there isn't. Yeah.
So first off, that's not true. You might re-get that number every 1 minute or 2 minutes because it would be aggressive to get it every second. But when you do the check, how many people are watching now? You're not saying how many people were watching over the last minute. You're saying how many people are currently grabbing the feed. Okay, let's get that number. We're going to hold on to it for a minute. And anyone who asks what the current number is, that's what we're going to go. That's what it is. It's not an intensive query to say how many people are currently watching this. And it seems sus. Okay, that's all I'm going to say.
Do you think so? Like, if a viewer is lagging or something, does that person just not get counted as a viewer because they're not currently receiving like TCP/IP UDP stuff? Like, doesn't time out after 1 second, right?
What I'm saying is your live view count that you're going to have in general might be cached for a minute. Basically, that's what your view count was a minute ago or 10 seconds ago or 30 seconds ago. But at that second, that's what it was. That's basically what your view count was.
I could be wrong, because I admit I don't know all the underlying technology, but my understanding is that, like, for internet timeouts and stuff, it's never going to be instantaneous. There's going to be, like, maybe on the lower side, like 30 to 60 seconds. But, like, if a person is lagging or something, I don't think, like, oh, we're not counting as a view count. Like, there's probably going to be some timeout, assuming they haven't, like, actually closed the session or exited the browser window or something. That'd be my guess. But
okay, so even allowing some grace there, I feel like we're very far away on what's reality here. So let me say some things I think shouldn't be too controversial. The kick experience sucks. That's the first one I'm going to do. It just sucks. And I think in general that if content creators, big ones, weren't getting paid, no one would be on it. The only people that would be on Kick would be essentially people that are banned off of YouTube and Twitch. That's what Kick is. It's kind of like Rumble. If you're not a Nazi, you go to Kick or something like that. That's the way I look at it. And I got to be honest, it's a little bit telling. The user list is hidden from Kick, and then there's like a way you can see how many people are currently there by typing at and then not doing anything. Like, out of the quote unquote like 7,000 people currently watching you on Kick, there's 92 people logged into a Kick account. Like, do these guys
Is that true?
Is there that many?
Holy
do they
shit,
really
that's
like
insane?
Is that like, do they really like the Kick experience so much, but also won't create an account?
Yeah, but you also, to be clear, you also have to compare this to Twitch as well. Like, if you go into a chat room with 20,000 live viewers, it's maybe, what, like 100 people chatting? You don't have thousands of chatters and anything.
Yeah, but the number of logged in users is closer to 70 to 80%. That's actually really crazy. That
yeah, I'm not saying chatting. I'm just saying even there. So like, a big thing is, I mean, a lot of this could be so much easier if, you know, I'm doing this off the thing. If you go into Kick and you just type @ and nothing else, the @ symbol, and you know, this is apparently everyone that is in the chat right now, and you can scroll through, and it's about 100 people right now.
Sure.
They don't have the user list thing on the right, and I wonder if that's quite intentional, because obviously they have the data. Because I mean, that's a pretty obvious way to see if these are real users or not. I think starting off with this strategy, I don't know. I feel like when I talked to you about kind of your initial, like, you're talking about the deal and everything, I wonder how long this deal will last. And I think what Devin said is true. It's going to last as long as this Eddie guy wants it to do. And that's really all there is to it. Because it's crazy, right? This is just fucking nuts shit.
Dan, can I build on that real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, real quick. I also want to say that I'm going to say something really controversial here. But I have a lot of anecdotal evidence for it, not objective evidence, so it's anecdotal. But just from I'll say it's about half a dozen messages that I've gotten from content creators at a low level that are having payment problems with Kick. In that, I think that a lot of these prominent deals that are being signed, such as like Aiden or your deal, Destiny, are going to be paid out, have no problems whatsoever. But I wonder, and again, I can't, maybe the majority of content creators are getting paid on time, and everything is fine. But when there has been some, or maybe these are growing pains, all kinds of things. I'm not trying to make any accusations here, because like, I really am not. But I'm not sure that Kick is as secure of a platform for like the vast majority of content creators that are going to be using it from a payment perspective or from a support perspective. And that could be by virtue of a lot of things, but that seems to be apparent to me right now.
I think there needs to be good competition for Twitch. Absolutely. YouTube, for whatever reason, seems just completely against the idea of having some sort of live streaming portal that actually makes sense. Like, I think I've said this years ago, YouTube has the ability to fucking destroy Twitch just because the fact that, like, a lot of people default to Twitch, in my opinion, for two reasons. Number one, is Twitch Prime, right? I think if you're small, that's something that you can't overlook. A lot of people can give you money for free. That's the first one. And then the second one is they're like, oh, I can get discovery, and people can find me from this, and I can get views, and that's why I'm on here and not Facebook Gaming or YouTube. But the thing is, YouTube has at its disposal that anyone who's going there to watch a fucking cat video can now be recommended to see Devin's live streaming right now about cats, and just blow away the fucking discovery that Twitch could ever offer to you. And then at that point, the only thing that Twitch can really offer you is Twitch Prime.
One huge issue that people don't seem to be aware of is there are significantly different buckets of viewers that might never overlap. People that watch YouTube videos are not generally people that watch YouTube streams. People that watch TikTok or YouTube Shorts are not people that watch YouTube long-form videos. The conversion from one type of viewer to another is absolutely abysmal to almost non-existent. So I don't think it's quite as easy as you think to convert somebody that's on the YouTube platform for videos to remain on the YouTube platform for live streams.
They f that up. They need to make that better.
No. It's not that they f it up. It's that the behavior of a viewer is just dramatically different. It's just it's a consumer behavior. I don't know.
But if you look at the number of users you have available, we're talking 200 users per every one on Twitch. That might make up for that conversion problem.
Potentially, but look at like I said, look at people like PewDiePie. This guy streamed and got, what was it, 20,000 viewers? And this guy is a YouTuber with over 50 million subscribers. Like, even if his viewership was relatively high for the world that he was in, the numbers are actually pretty sad given how popular of a person he was, right? Or look at how there's a Red Pill channel we fight a lot with called Just Pearly Things. This is a channel that's built over 1.5 million views, or I'm sorry, 1.5 million subs, but they mostly built it off of YouTube Shorts. Some of her long form content gets like 5,000 to 10,000 views per video on a 1.5 million sub channel. And these are new subs too. It's not an old dead channel.
So do you feel like that person is doing consistent calls to action and properly
they try really hard to convert, but the issue is just that a shorts viewer is just so much different than a video viewer, which is so much different than go ahead.
Yeah, we initially, they call it experimental budget in marketing. So let's say that a company, I think our deal average right now is like 1.3 million. So out of that, usually about 5 to 10%, so call it like 100,000 to 300K, will be experimental, where we can kind of throw it at anything we want. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so a lot of brands were initially interested in TikToks. This is about a year ago. And we started throwing a lot of money at TikTok and trying to see, because these conversions work, the way that these conversions would work in advertising would work exactly the same to go into a live stream, right? It's just a call to action to get someone to do something. So we were trying to throw a ton of money at short form to try to see if it converted. And simultaneously, Night Media, is the guys that run Mr. Beast and a bunch of these other big guys, they're a TA, but they're still doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. We're running a shit ton of money, and both of us came to the conclusion that it's complete dog shit. We're for whatever, even with good calls to action, we're just not seeing any kind of conversion off of shorts to this day.
Sure. I mean, look at all these people on TikTok that have millions or 1 million plus subs, and these people aren't very wealthy. It is almost meaningless to have I feel like, might be a stretch, but I feel like 1 million subs on TikTok is probably worth 50 to 100,000 subs on YouTube. Maybe less. Yeah, maybe less.
Yeah. I put no stock into number of subscribers on TikTok. I just don't care. Yeah, mm-hmm. Of followers. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I totally agree. So there's an important jump though. I do think that conversion problem exists for short form to long form content, mm-hmm. but I don't know if it exists for long form to streaming. I think that a lot of times, like in the PewDiePie example, a lot better CTAs or a better marketing funnel could have solved a lot of problems around that.
Maybe. I don't know. I've never seen an example of it working. It seems like fundamentally people like the ability to go on and watch a video whenever you want in the background and blah, blah, blah. It's a lot different than a person who will sit in a chat forever.
Let me give you one immediately.
Well, go for it.
Voice Critical.
What about it?
Huge YouTuber only. Moved into live streaming and consistently pulls 12 to 14K viewers on Twitch every day.
Is that impressive though?
Yeah.
Doesn't he have 6 million subs on YouTube, or is it 10 million?
what makes it impressive is the case study was Moist Critical did a lot of the things that would make a Twitch streamer be successful. He did consistent calls to action in his videos that he was live streaming, especially when he started, and then he started broadcasting every day. A lot of times when you get these YouTubers that try to move over, they might do like a one stream every once in a while, and they don't have any kind of consistent schedule. Like the rules of physics still apply that you have to be a successful broadcaster, right? Like,
yeah, but like I wonder if
but
it seems like, did he actually manage to convert from his YouTube audience, or is he just like a decent streamer that converted? Because like, so I just checked his channel, so he has 13.2 million subs. If he's got 10 to 15,000 views on his live stream, is that a good conversion? Is he converting a lot of those YouTube viewers to stream viewers? That's a really, really low pull rate from that channel.
I think you could look at well, okay, so let's look at this in reverse, and maybe we can like suss this out. Look at the number of people that have built their Twitch audience off of their YouTube videos. So they start, including yourself, right? So like you started posting more. There was a period of time where you were hovering like 2 to 3 concurrents consistently, and you weren't really updating YouTube. Then you got your editor, you got your shit together, and like you got those videos coming out. And now I think your concurrents are set way higher, right? Like on average. And that also happened to people like Ludwig.
I understand what you're saying. Ludwig is one person that I think made the jump well. I think that my streaming audience has only grown as I've streamed more and done the work on streaming. I don't actually think my YouTube popularity, I would say that my popularity in the real world, unironically, has probably in the last like 2 years, has like 5 or 10x'd than what it was before. I was in Malibu a week ago.
You don't attribute that to YouTube?
No, I do, but it doesn't translate to streamer growth, right? Like I can walk around like almost anywhere in the United States now and have like multiple, like somebody will recognize me, stop me, ask me for a picture, and somebody else will see it happening and then stop me and ask me for a picture. Like this happens like on almost a daily basis, But none of that is like followed over my stream audience, right? Like right now I've got like maybe 10,000 viewers, which is nice, but like I had 10,
you have 10K right now?
Yeah.
So you have to understand that puts you, like, if we look at like Moist Critical, to your point, your first point was there is a certain type of audience that consumes that type of content, right? So a lot of those conversions are just going to fall off by virtue of the fact that it's like, okay, viewing content in live format, in long form, I just don't have time for. I work a lot, whatever the reasons are. It's a very niche audience that can actually participate in live streaming in the first place.
Yeah.
But like, if you got to realize, like, I didn't understand you were that high. That's actually insane. Like you are one of the top broadcasters in the world, unequivocally. Yeah. So you're converting that audience better than almost anybody is, and so is Charlie. And I cannot believe that you don't attribute that. Like,
I guess it's just weird what we mean by like converting an audience. Like, let's say for instance, let's say like Snoop Dogg streams and gets like 10,000 viewers. Is he doing a really good job at converting his audience to live streaming? Because I feel like that would be really bad.
But Snoop Dogg didn't do that. He appeared on Twitch for some weird activations, and I think did a couple of live streams, got like 400 people. There's been examples of like really prominent celebrities.
Yeah, there's just like two worlds. You're viewing the conversion as good if you're successful in the world that you enter. I'm viewing the conversion as good if you're able to pull from your other world. I guess that's the difference. Like if a YouTuber,
what I'm saying is,
like if a YouTuber started streaming and he had 50,000 live viewers, but he had 5 billion subs on YouTube, I would say, oof, that conversion is really bad. That's what I would think.
What I'm saying is that it is dependent on the practices that person implements, and because most of these content creators are kind of dog shit at business, they end up not doing the proper calls to action. They end up not like driving the conversions that they should. But whenever you get someone that does do that, like a Ludwig or yourself or Moist Critical, that understands those marketing principles, they soar in terms of converting their audience. And I don't think PewDiePie was a good example of that. I think you could have, like, so let's take like Mr. Beast, like current #1 YouTuber, right? Yeah. And let's say he just starts to do a live stream. If Mr. Beast did nothing on that live stream and like didn't do any calls to action or anything, I think he would fail. Like, I don't think it would matter what his total follower count is, and then we could say his conversions are bad. But if he even did like a single thing that was like, here is an exclusive event that's happening only on my live stream if you view it, and you'll only get to see it if you do this or something like that, and like drives people to like a direct call to action, then it will be the conversion will be comparably incredible.
Okay, yeah, maybe, yeah. I don't know.
And I would say that like you might be under or overestimating? Well, whatever it is, the amount of like laziness that like most people, like a lot of the Minecraft YouTubers that went over to live streaming would literally stream like maybe once every couple of weeks, never tell their audience what it was, make no posts, and like the fact that like Dream or Sapnap was still converting like 30 or 40,000 people over to a Twitch live stream that was once every fucking few months is like fucking crazy.
Maybe, yeah.
Right. Like, so those are good examples of of audiences converting in that way, I think.
So these are all the reasons why I was right. Right, Devin?
Wait, what do you mean? Well, what's your like?
I think it's a shame that if someone's watching Destiny's YouTube, like, actually, let me go do this right now. So if, like, you go watch a Destiny YouTube video right now, like, his live stream, it's not that really standing out at all. It's not even in the top right or in a more prominent spot. And I feel like that's a missed opportunity for people that may be YouTube watchers of a channel and be like, oh shit, this guy's live right now. I always wanted to ask him about X, and have that ability to go and donate to that person.
Yeah, but I think the difference is that, like, people wouldn't engage with it that way. Like, YouTube has probably done so much A/B testing of this. People probably would click the stream and then click off instantly, because YouTube content is so different.
I don't know why you. I mean, sure, it's not prepared content. I would agree with that, but I feel like there's people that have only done videos, and if they were live and I saw they were live right now, I would want to go and like ask a question. And I feel like that's the case for you as well. Like, there's certain people that have only done prepared content. It'd be very, it'd be unique, different experience to go in there and see a live stream that hasn't happened before. But I don't even know if a person I'm following on YouTube is having a live stream, because YouTube doesn't even fucking tell me. Right? Like, they do a very poor job of this thing. Like, what do I have to do? I have to go in there and, like, ring the bell, but then also ring the super bell that's, like, alert me every time. It's, like, way too much.
So it's a couple of things here. It's like first, like, Destiny's point of, like, conversion to users is true. Like, for a good way to see this is, like, you can run paid ads, like, against, like, a live stream, and all the users will just bounce. Like, it would be crazy. Like you can, we've run pay-per-click ads against live streams. And actually, one place where this actually doesn't hold true very interestingly is pornography. So if you run like streams of like Chatterbait or something, and you run paid ads against those work really well. But if you run them against like normal broadcasts, all the users just bounce. So it's possible that YouTube has data on that. I'm not sure. But the second thing is that YouTube's mission just isn't this. Like the YouTube live creative is not really interested in promoting live streaming the way you're thinking about it, because they just don't see that there's a total upside significant enough. They would rather have users their objective is to have users stay on YouTube and watch as many videos as possible and maximize the amount of
that's all they
plays,
want.
right?
How many people click through to a next video and watch and watch.
So they
watch,
figure
watch,
if we can improve our recommendation systems and we can improve our our ability that once you are finished with a video, you pop on and click another video and you're just consistently watching that content, then we're going to maximize our advertising. Whereas if you click on a live stream and leave, that's not as beneficial to them. And there's also problems. We can get into some really boring stuff I won't talk about, but there's also a lot of problems having that make sense for advertisers versus having it make sense on VOD. VOD is so much easier to advertise for than live streaming by like a huge margin.
Yeah, I agree.
So, those are some reasons why I don't think it is. But I'm Dan. I'm interested in like your.
I just think it's an opportunity. I understand, like,
you
could say YouTube videos are valuable, and I agree with that. But I also think it's valuable to have people not leaving YouTube to go to Twitch.
Well, it's an opportunity, but there's also an opportunity cost. Every time I'm showing a live stream, I'm not showing another video that the person might be more likely to click on and remain engaged with the website with, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, there's certainly a cost for this, but I mean, it's all about increasing hours. I mean, people spend more hours. Well, actually, Devin, do you know this? That people spend more hours on Twitch versus YouTube for like a consumer of both? Because I feel like it's going to be the live stream by far.
And this is a really misunderstood statistic. Twitch will quote that it's about 106 minutes on average that a person spends on live streams total, which is true. So generally, users will engage themselves with a single stream longer, but the actual amount of time that somebody spends on YouTube, especially with the addition of YouTube Shorts, is longer. It's like 3 to 4 hours on average. It's like insane amount of time. So, but you're 100% right that like, so Twitch loves to like throw around the statistics like we have the most engaged users, but the way they're quantifying that is they're saying our user spends the most amount of time on like a single stream. So like people that are watching Destiny right now, like on average are like power users in the sense that like they're watching him for like an hour and a half or longer. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Dan, I understand your position on YouTube, but what is your kind of take on Kick? I still want to like understand that better because I think you have like a on this.
I think it's not good enough as is. And
what does good enough mean?
The experience is not good enough. It's not a good experience. It doesn't feel good. That's kind of a little bit hard for me to quantify, but like I don't enjoy using that website. I would much prefer to be on Twitch or YouTube watching a stream. I like the features that those services have better. I think that it has a better maybe a video playback.
Hold on. I hard disagree. I think Twitch's is still better, but I think Kick's is better than YouTube's at this point. Not to shit on YouTube, but I don't think you've ever used YouTube chat before you're saying that. Not to shit on YouTube chat, but
I'm not talking about chat. I'm talking about the video player, for instance, right now. Like, there's no
but for
DVR.
people that are sure. But for people that are participating in like chat community experience, which is probably a big part of the live stream experience, I think YouTube is just doesn't give a fuck at all about that.
Oh no, the YouTube chat eats shit. But I'm, but I think that for most people, probably chatting is secondary to watching the content and being able to go back. I don't know, of the people that you have that are watching you live right now, what percentage of them would you say are actively chatting? It's probably 10% or less, right?
It'd probably be like 2 or 3% would be my guess.
Oh, yeah. So, like, the most important part is the quality of delivering video and the feature set that goes with that. And I feel like that's pretty poor on Kick. And
video delivery wouldn't it be similar to Twitch?
You'd think so. I'd hope so. But
is it
not?
Isn't. Why? No. What do you mean?
I don't know. I feel like it especially on mobile, the experience is really poor.
Well, mobile, like, but now you're not talking about video. You're talking about like their app or whatever. Their mobile app is really bad right now, apparently.
Okay, I don't know. I feel like it has more to improve, but I think about how can Kick make it. I mean, it really just, I guess at the end, it just comes down to how much money they can make off gambling shit, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
all there is to it. I mean, you'll never, in my opinion, you'll never see the day where, they just made this big post, hey, if you want to turn off pools and gambling, you can do it from your settings. Yeah, show me the day when you turn that off for all guests. And then they have to opt in.
I just commented on this too, yeah.
Yeah, that'll never fucking happen. So that was just like bullshit to try and, placate the media or something along those lines. Like, if this is truly based on, I mean, it seems like Kick was born, or not, essentially because they saw how much money they were making off of people gambling on Twitch, and then Twitch was like, "Oh, we're getting rid of that," and they're like, "Hold on, now a lot of money's okay. We gotta find a way so these people can keep streaming." This is a huge thing, and that it's like, I wonder at a certain point they say, you know what? This is fucking way too expensive spending money on Destiny. We're not converting enough. We'll have a site and people want to stream to gambling can do it. And then we'll do some like intermittent promotions to like hopefully get Zoomers on here that turn to gambling addicts or something. I don't know. The sad part is it's not like a VC funded thing. You don't know if it'll still be here in a year. It's literally at the whims of, does it continue to make money for, essentially stake, I guess.
How is that? I mean, like, that's the same with VC funding as well, right? Like, VC funding.
Well, no. VC funding is the opposite of that. VC funding is, here's a blank check, just build the biggest company with the most users that you possibly can, and keep making the experience better and growing and growing. Not like, hey, in 2 months I didn't make enough, so we're just, it's just gambling.
Well, but at
only
some
now.
point, VC funders are going to be like, if we're not seeing a profit or if there's something happening, like, we're pulling the plug on this. Like, VC funding isn't forever, right?
I mean, well, there's a lot of companies that have never been profitable, and they've gone from VC funded from A to fucking D round, then go public, and they're still not profitable to this day. But
yeah,
yes,
but you're talking about companies like Twitter and Amazon and Facebook, many of these which are profitable now. But like, you're not talking about like random streaming websites or whatever. Sure, if you're growing your user base up to past like 500 million or a billion users, you can do that. But in the norm, any VC funded project eventually is going to have to become profitable, right? After you've had enough user acquisition, the VC funding isn't just going to last forever.
I mean, the direction, the push to profitability really comes pre-IPO. That's like, you can go through like 4 or 5 rounds of funding before you get to that point. And you're talking probably at least 4 or 5 years until you get to that point.
Look at like the whole LCS and league scene. Isn't that like basically the plug is basically being pulled on that entire thing?
Well, the LCS was intended to be a marketing arm for Riot, so the idea was that it would sell more skins and get more people engaged with the game.
Yeah, but it hasn't, and now it's completely dead, I think, right? Aren't they?
Oh God, it's just that I won't get into like a huge, long, boring thing about it, but it's just that
Fuck, I need to grab food real quick. Give me 1 sec, okay? You can talk to me down there. Hold on.
Yeah, the harassment, the amount of harassment that Riot has to go through to make that happen.
You can stop right there. I don't care about League. I don't even know fucking anything about it. So how's everything else been?
Brother, we're doing really well. What about with you? I miss you, man. Like in these conversations, it's awesome that you dropped by actually.
Oh yeah, not fucking red pill. Like who's got the biggest penis and how can you? I don't even know what the conversation is. I have to like get up to date with it. But yeah, no, it's how did that one thing get so fucking big? It's all anyone talks about these fucking days. It's very strange.
Red pilling?
All that stuff, yes.
Yeah, I'm also not in. I just asked Destiny that question, and I mean like. I don't know. Like I actually was like, maybe this is just like a Destiny community problem. But then like I interacted with like some young kids that were like completely on that on that train, and I'm like, oh shit, this is like a whole thing. So I don't know, man. Like I wish I did. It seems like it's kind of a shit show.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's crazy. And if you notice, it seems like everything is crashing around at the same time. Like it's kind of funny. Like Twitter putting rate limits on shit. Reddit getting rid of like all the apps I used. I used Apollo and crashing like fucking.
I use Reddit as fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. I feel like, is it all this Elon's fault? Like, did he like show the way and all these other companies like, oh yeah, let's do that. That sounds good.
I think that Elon proved that you could drop your total employee count by like 50 to 70% and like run a bare bones service and then increase user engagement. And then a lot of CEOs were like, oh shit, okay, I can give that a shot. But that said, I do also think that like, and I know you are going to probably hard agree with this. Like, I do also think that we're entering an era where companies are getting smarter and realizing that there were a lot of PMs and middle managers and people that were getting way overpaid to do absolutely jack shit. And like I think that that's also reflecting in like those people going away, and some of the people that actually did the real work are getting caught in the crossfire, and that might be why we're seeing like a drop in quality.
One thing I didn't look into this too much, but I've heard stories, or read stories I should say, that Twitter is like stopping paying a lot of shit, like contracts they have, like tech contracts, they just stop paying. Apparently they stopped paying entirely for their San Francisco office. Like, how does that work? Twitter is a company that has assets. Aren't these people literally just going to sue Twitter and be like, hey, you now owe us $1 billion or whatever it is? And that's pretty cut and dry, isn't it? Like, what is the strategy behind not paying these bills like this for a company that isn't close to bankruptcy? Like, I understand if you're like on bankruptcy, that's what you do, right? Like if you're Bed Bath & Beyond or something, I'm not paying anyone. Like, fuck it. You know what I mean? Yeah. You can fight over the fucking 6 trash bags and, throw pillows that are left, and that's it. But like, this is Twitter. There's still assets there,
There is, but I wonder.
Could you force a renegotiation or something rather than?
Yeah, or you could like hold that in litigation for so long it doesn't become profitable. I think there's got to be some way that, or they're just not thinking about it. Like, man, like I don't like really know what Elon's plan for Twitter ultimately is. Like, I think he believes that he can make it profitable, but
is there do you know if is there a live stat of how many people are subscribed to Twitter Blue? Like, is anyone aggregating that number from like kind of public?
Well, maybe
data?
if you pay $500,000 a month for Twitter's API, they'll give it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they shut down that was really annoying. They shut down their API. We were one of the companies affected by that because we were using it to pull results from our campaigns. Now we have to fucking do it manually.
It's interesting to me, like when Twitter, for instance, like just the real estate thing, like, hey, we're not going to pay the lease in our San Francisco office anymore. Like, if you're the owner of that office space, you just say, oh, okay, I'll sue you for the entirety of the lease that you have remainder, and you're on the hook for that lease. It's not like, oh, well, I might have to pay 1 or 2. Like, you are on the hook. That's what a lease is. Like, you promise to pay for the duration of that lease. I just don't see what he has to gain stopping paying that. Like, I would hold out if I was the landlord. But I guess if you're down bad and you need the money now, maybe. But I don't see that being the case with someone who's going to own one of those massive San Francisco buildings down there.
Well, aren't those guys getting crushed under like occupancy rates, and like don't they have like a lot of problems they have to worry about? Like maybe there's so many people that are pulling out of those contracts. Or like,
you know what I read is speaking of that, there's a pretty somewhat famous hotel in San Francisco. I think it's called Park 55, PARC, and the people who owned it basically had 50% equity in it, and the other half was like a bank loan, right? Okay. And they just gave it up. They're like, okay. And they just gave it to the fucking bank. Imagine giving up like $400 million just because you can't do anything. Like, that's mental to me. They literally just said, hey, I'm not making mortgage payments on it. Here you go. Good luck. Just like that. Fucking nuts, dude.
It's these work from homers. We got to get them back in the office.
Absolutely. I agree. Your time is over. Done. Man. Dude, office space right now, I feel like if I had a lot more money to spend, I would seriously consider doing that, because right now the deals are mental that you can get for buying office building. It's not a joke, right?
Yeah, but do you really think are we really going back?
Yeah, that's my question.
I don't know. I don't know. It's like a huge. It's like the Warren Buffett thing.
We are going back to San Francisco. I think that's a failed project. That shit is a shit show. Oh my god, and that's where a lot of this office space is. Like, yeah, I don't know if we're coming back.
I don't know. There's a lot of people who say, I'm never going back to work again. Well, I mean, you'll have to if there's no work at home jobs.
Oh, that's true.
Like,
Twitter,
like it's not your call.
Twitter didn't pay Google on hosting.
What's that? You cut out?
Jesus.
Your mic's breaking up completely.
No.
Yeah, you're roboting.
It's not. You're lying. Twitter,
Okay.
Twitter didn't pay Google either, and they got like their hosting shit got fucked as well, right?
That was another thing I read, that the reason that we had this rate limit shit the other day is apparently
They didn't pay their
Twitter's Google Cloud bill was due on the 1st of July, and they just didn't do it. So I was like, all right, well, I guess we're gonna have to try to run this shit on a fucking GeoCities account. All right, everyone gets one page view a day. Do not overload it. Oh man, the real estate thing is super interesting. It's a huge gamble. Like an office building that would have cost, let's say, $100 million in 2015 in San Francisco, right now is like a $20 million building, right? It's not easy to convert these into residential, which would be the natural thing to do, right? Because just the plumbing's not there. You're spending a huge amount of money trying to do that type of stuff. So like that's not an option. So you really have to pray for work in the office coming back. And I don't know how much of it will or not. It's a huge gamble. So yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of money to make. If it does come back and you buy this shit, you're 5xing your money in a few years. And if it doesn't,
yeah, there'll probably be another bailout anyway. Fuck it, right?
Yeah. Oh man.
I think it has to become clear to companies if it really is more effective to work remotely or vice versa or not. And the jury's pretty much still out on that. There's been a couple of studies that were done that actually showed throughout the first year of the pandemic that people became more productive. But man, I can't reason with that. I can't figure that out. Like, I don't know why that would be true.
There's also the question of how many jobs can be work from home, right? I mean, not all of them, obviously. Most of them can't. Most of them are going to be in some either manual, I don't want to say manual labor, but there's a lot of jobs that's just not like, oh, I can do this from a computer. It's like you're out there fixing a fucking car or, slinging burgers or whatever the fuck it is. Like, these are not going to be work from home jobs ever. But as far as office space thing, I don't know. It all is going to come down to trend from employers. There's a billion people in chat right now. They're saying, I will never go back into the fucking office, so help me God. And the simple answer is you will. If you can't find a decent paying job that lets you be working from home, then you will, or you'll just be homeless, I guess. Like that, it's not your choice. What you're saying is, I very much want to work from home, and I feel
but it'll depend on if talented devs and shit are like, I'm working from home and I'm just not going to work for your company if you want me to come to the office. It might be forcing people back to the office is a losing move, right?
I mean, who's going to play? Who's going to be chicken first on that? I don't know. That's an unknown thing. I feel like there's too much power imbalance there, and the companies are going to win.
It might be maybe chat's referring to something different because I've read a lot about this, which like this feeling of like I just am not going to participate in this service based, like to get these like you said, burger slinging type jobs. That maybe people just like feel like they just are not going to participate in that, and that's like the whole our anti-work movement and everything like that. Where like people just don't want, and we're seeing that across like shit, man. Like look at like airlines, right? Like look at like airports and stuff like that. Like nobody wants to be a traffic controller, nobody wants to be a gate agent, stuff like that. Like there's so many service-based industries that are struggling to hire. You know what I think about every fucking day is like, how is it that anybody can afford anything? I literally think about this every fucking day, every day. Like, inflation has gone up so fucking much. Rent is so high. Food is so high. Credit card debt is at an all-time high, and nobody's fucking working.
No, wait.
How's this?
You're getting the cart before the horse a little bit. Everybody's working. That's the issue right now. Unemployment is very, 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 very low. We just don't have enough people to work all the jobs. That's why there's so many openings.
So there's like, wait, we physically just don't have the humans?
Yes.
Shit, really? That's the problem?
Yeah, this is what everybody's been talking about for 10 years about, like, the baby boomers finally retiring, and COVID was probably the push for it. We just don't have enough people to work with it. Our unemployment is like 3.2%. It's like absurdly low. But we just don't have the human capital right now to work the jobs as the older people all start to age
So
out.
it's not that people don't want service jobs; it's that we just literally don't have enough
we don't have
people
the
to work
people.
them?
Yeah.
Wow, I never knew this.
It's also partially why I think we're not seeing interest rates having the effect that they hoped that they would by raising them for the bank. It's just there's a threshold, right? Like so when to be broad about this is very, very broad. It's like 4-year-old style. Interest rates I'm talking about here is essentially what percentage would a bank spend to borrow money from the government, right? Essentially that's what we're talking about. And it's not having the effect because at the end of the day, even if that amount is fucking 6,000%, right? Which would be ridiculous. But even if that number was really high, at the end of the day, Devin, I'll loan you money for fucking 20% a year. You know what I mean? Like there's just enough of a private money at work here that it's just not going to be able to have that much of a dent no matter how high it goes. It certainly is pushing things up.
What do you mean?
So
private money, the higher interest rates go, the less attractive private money becomes. That's the whole point of raising interest rates, to slow down velocity of money in an economy, no? Like if the Fed is going to offer me a 10% treasury bond.
No, so what I'm saying to you is that there's a certain amount that I would loan you money from myself to, right? So right now, for instance, the prime rate, I think it's pretty high. It's like 8.5, no, 6.5, no, 8.5 right now is the Wall Street Journal prime rate. Let's say that went to
really? Holy shit.
Yeah, it is really high right now, 8.5 on the prime rate. Let's say that went to like 50%, right? Obviously, that would be ludicrous, right? No one's doing that. But if it did, do you think that every bank would be offering mortgages at that as a rate?
Yeah, you have to, right?
No, you don't have to. That's what the bank would pay if they wanted to borrow money from the government. But
well,
are you saying
like they're not going to offer? They do prime plus one or whatever, right? They're not going to offer for lower than that, no?
Why wouldn't they? That's a competitive thing. That's competitive for them to be able to do that.
Wait,
for me
why
as a
would
person,
I loan you money at like 10% when I could just buy a treasury bond for 15%?
Well, that's if treasury bonds go through it, right?
Well, no, wait. Hold on. One of us has a fundamental misunderstanding, and it might be me. If the treasury right now, if interest rates are set to 0%, and like the treasury, by the time it gets to people or whatever, a bank can loan out money at like very, very cheap. We'll say like 3% for mortgages or whatever, right? If I'm loaning out money, I'm loaning it out for a very low rate because of how low interest rates are at the Federal Reserve.
So right? you're tying in the selling of bonds with the amount with the mortgage rate essentially that they do.
Yeah, well, because that's how mortgage rates are kind of determined, right? It's like prime rate plus.
Well, I mean, they're similar products, but not the same product. But
I didn't say they're the same, but it's prime plus is usually because the bank borrows the money.
This is riveting conversation. Yeah. But does pertinence mean fucking nothing to you, Steven?
Yeah, where's Q at? He's not here yet, so.
He's right now. He's there.
He just showed up, yeah. Anyway, real quick, I'm sorry.
No,
at the Federal Reserve. What?
No, it's fine. I want to watch
keep
Kip
doing
and Keek.
this.
Yeah, we are, yeah. If the Federal Reserve raises rates to like
minutes.
50%, right? Why would anybody lend me any money? Let's say somebody's $100,000. Why would I lend that to somebody at like 10% when I could take the $100,000, go buy treasury bonds, 5, 10, 30, whatever the fuck you
Yeah, I mean, no, you wouldn't. If you can buy the treasury bonds, right? So the rate that the banks get to borrow, you don't get to borrow those. That's different. You can't get that rate, okay? That's a specific feature that the bank has.
Hold on, wait, am I retarded? Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait. I thought when Federal Reserve rates increase, I thought everybody around the world has access to U.S. Treasury bonds.
Well, we're not talking about bonds. We're talking about the rate that banks can borrow money from the government,
and then the rate they choose to issue.
I thought Federal Reserve rate, isn't that tied into the
It might be based on it in like a rising fucking sea raises all ships type of thing, but they are different things. At least I think they are. I could be wrong on that, but I don't think that's the case. Like the rate right now for instance, the rate to borrow money from banks is certainly not what I'm getting a fucking mortgage rate for. That I can tell you.
Wait, okay, can you hear me? Hello?
Hi?
Okay, sorry. Yeah. My monitor's not playing. No. This is how I understand it. I could be totally wrong, okay? Oh, fuck me. I hope Rage Pope isn't listening to me, man. There's something called the federal funds rate, which is the rate that the U.S. Treasury will loan money out. This is like the default, the lowest rate that you can borrow money or get money basically from the Treasury, okay? That federal funds rate, let's say it's 1%. If the federal funds rate is 1%, you're never getting a mortgage less than that because banks are borrowing at least that. Then they add a little bit on top of that for interest, and then that's what they loan that money out. However, whatever that federal funds rate is, that's what like treasury bonds are going to be based on as well. So if I go to the federal government, I want to buy some treasury bonds or whatever, it's going to be also based off that federal funds rate. All of it is based on the interest rate at which the Federal Reserve is set for monetary policy, essentially. So that's all based on the same number. So if the federal funds rate increases like 50% or whatever, then mortgages are going to be 55%. But you could also go and buy a treasury bond and get like a 50% return. That's the whole point of raising interest rates on treasury bonds, is that it decreases other investments in the economy to like cool down the economy, to slow it down. That was one of the reasons why one of the big drivers for the housing crisis, one of the big issues for the housing crisis is the federal funds rate for the United States was so fucking low, and the return was so low that people were looking for other places to store their money, because the U.S. historically, like having a federal funds rate so low is like, why the fuck would I buy T-bonds? I'm getting nothing for it. I need other safe investments. That was my understanding. I could be wrong at all.
Okay, well, I mean, if that's the case, then if they were able to decouple those things to a certain extent, that would be what I'm talking about. Truth be told, we would need like a rage pump here to picture it out. But I think fundamentally what I'm saying to you is that if an option isn't there where I can't buy a bond from the government, like for instance, like I-bonds right now, we're paying really high, or they were. I don't know if they still are, but they were extremely limited. Okay. Right? You could only buy like $7,500 a year of them or something.
This is the last point, and then we'll move to the show, okay? Wes, I love you. Okay, go ahead, Dan.
I don't want to leave with me being retarded and wrong, so can we just go back to saying kick sucks and YouTube's better?
You came being retarded and wrong, Daniel.
Oh!
Yeah, well... All right, Wes. Thanks.
Good to see you, Dan.
Okay, moving on.
So you have a show or something, Steven?
Yeah, it starts in 6 minutes ago, so...
Okay, cool. Yeah, dude, thank you for having me.
Yep,
and
I love you.
I appreciate you, man. I'll come back and talk at some point later.
Later, chat.
Bye.